There are places you should never visit at night, and Union Cemetery in Easton, Connecticut is one of them. They say this graveyard is one of the most haunted places in the United States. Its history stretches back centuries. Its soil holds the remains of soldiers, farmers, children, countless lives long forgotten. And among them walks a figure known simply as the White Lady. Imagine standing there, alone, late at night. The fog rolls in, wrapping itself around the gravestones. The moonlight barely breaks through the thick clouds above. And suddenly, you see her. A woman, dressed all in white. Some say she wears a wedding gown, others a nightdress. Her face is pale, almost glowing. She moves slowly, silently, as if floating just above the ground. Drivers passing the cemetery have reported seeing her standing in the middle of the road. Many slammed on their brakes, certain they were about to hit someone. But when they got out of their cars, there was no one there. Ed Warren himself spent many nights here, camera in hand. And one night, at exactly 3 a.m, he claimed to have captured her on film. A faint, ghostly figure drifting between the graves, barely visible, but there. And there is something else. Ed spoke of seeing a pair of glowing red eyes in the darkness one night. Too high to belong to any animal, too intense to ignore. They watched him, unblinking, until they vanished. Was it a spirit? A lonely soul unable to leave this world? Or something darker, something that feeds on fear? Locals say that those who see the White Lady soon suffer a tragedy, an accident, an illness, a loss. Would you dare to stand alone on that graveyard path, the fog curling at your feet, and wait until she appears? Bill Ramsey was an ordinary man, a husband, a neighbor, the kind of person you wouldn't look twice at on the street. But inside Bill, something was waiting. As a child, he had strange fits, moments of uncontrollable anger. He once bit a friend so hard he drew blood. He growled in his sleep, like an animal. Then, as he grew older, it stopped. For years, nothing happened. Until one night, decades later, the beast returned. Bill was at home with his wife when he suddenly felt wrong. His heart pounded, his muscles tensed. He began to growl. Before he knew it, he had grabbed his wife and thrown her across the room with unnatural strength. Then he ran into the night. The police found him hours later, wild-eyed and snarling. It took 4 officers to hold him down. They said he fought like no man they had ever seen. Doctors examined him. No drugs, no illness, no explanation. But the attacks kept coming. Each time, Bill lost control, as if something else was using his body. Eventually, Ed and Lorraine Warren heard of the case and traveled to England. They believed Bill was possessed, not by a human spirit, but by something darker, something animal. They arranged for an exorcism. Bill was restrained. Prayers were read. He screamed, his voice turning deep and guttural, his body twisting violently. And then, with one final cry, it was over. The attacks stopped. Bill returned to his family. He lived quietly after that. But neighbors whispered that on some nights when the moon was full, they heard low, rumbling growls coming from his house. And they swore it did not sound human. West Point, a place of discipline, honor, and tradition. The oldest military academy in the United States. But behind its strict rules and proud history lies a much darker secret. It started small. Footsteps echoing in empty corridors. Doors opening and closing by themselves. Lights flickering late at night. Then came the screams. Soft at first, like distant cries. But night after night they grew louder, until they were impossible to ignore. One night, an entire dormitory of cadets woke at the same moment. Every door in the hallway burst open, and at the far end of the corridor stood a figure. Tall, shadowy. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dark. And then, it vanished. In the morning, the cadets found scratches on their arms, beds pushed away from the walls, and their uniforms torn from their hangers. Frightened, the academy contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren. The couple stayed several nights, documenting the activity. Lorraine later said she saw the spirit of a soldier, blood-soaked, marching silently down the hallway before passing straight through a wall. On the final night, a scream so loud it shook the windows rang through the dormitory. The candles went out, and when the lights came back, one of the cadets was gone. Hours later, they found her outside in the rain, shaking, unable to speak. She had no memory of leaving her bed. Some say the halls of West Point are still haunted. That if you stand alone there late at night, you can still hear the footsteps, growing closer and closer, until they stop right behind you.